And so we need to resign. And if that discussion needs to be had, we're just going to get that.
Hello, everyone at home. We're waiting for a couple people to arrive. Okay.
Boulevard Heights. So it varies.
When I fully understood that, like the amount of budget that was not made available to us because we're not, that we're having, like smaller schools are having to dig into their pockets for, counselor positions in the graduate curriculum, whatever, what have you, because they will blow that number of 500 kids.
Yeah.
That really changes
I'll just mute it until.
the discussion. And it's
We're going to mute it until we get people here.
Okay, are we ready to get started?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Good evening. Welcome to Maynard Jackson's Go Team meeting, where we will follow the agenda, and it has been emailed to you and has been publicly noticed. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the Go Team. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here to speak quietly or here to quietly observe. For members of the Go Team, please identify yourself when you speak. So I'm pleased to call this meeting of the Maynard Jackson High School Go Team to order at 5:33 p.m. Our first order of business is to call roll. Secretary, will you now please take roll?
Yes. Kimberly Latchman.
Present.
Kimberly Leaks. Absent. Stacy West Wooding. Absent. Claire Gordon. She is running late, so she's absent as of right now. Bryce Duncan. Is he online? No. Okay, so he's absent. Emily Galloway College right here. Miss Humphrey here. Suzanne Mitchell.
Present.
Nancy Lamb
Here.
John McCall.
Present.
Anaya Ebron Williams.
Present.
Milo Tano.
Yeah.
All right. And we do have a quorum.
Okay, great. All right. So we're going to proceed to the action items. Our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This was provided to you and copies are available as well. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No.
Nope. Okay.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Okay. I second that motion.
All right, let's vote. All in favor, aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Opposed?
Abstention.
Abstentions?
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Now we will take a motion for the minutes.
Did you want to do?
I'll make a motion to adopt last month's minutes. Can I hear you?
All in favor?
Aye.
All
Opposed.
all opposed? Any abstentions?
Motion.
And the motion carries. Thank you. Okay. So I also want to make a motion to skip ahead to the APS HR updates. This is going to be a change to the agenda. We might need to vote on it, so, because this is technically a change to the agenda, which we did just approve.
I make a motion that we amend the agenda to go first with our APS Human Resources update.
Second.
Second, third, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Great, and so I will hand this over to HR.
Yes.
We have some new folks that have just joined us. Do you want to share your names, please?
Stacy Westwood, Claire Gordon, parent representative.
Hello, Maynard Jackson High. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm Audrey, cluster superintendent for Jackson and Midtown. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there with you in person, but we are here tonight to share some plans and next steps for our principal search for the new principal of your wonderful high school. We have two other folks with us tonight that are going to share some details, and I will also share, what my role is when they're done. I'm very excited to work with this team. We did successfully hire I have 15 schools that I support, and of those 15 schools, we had 3 new principals hired last year, and had a great process with that and working with those Go teams. So I'm very excited to work with you on this year. It is a very, very important part of my job because those are the folks that I work the closest with, and I know it is very, very important to each of you sitting in this room. So I do want to introduce who we have with us. We have Nardian Mighty, Dr. Mighty, what is exactly your title, please?
Interim Executive Director of Talent Management.
Okay, so she is going to help find that talent out there. I love it. And then we also have Dr. Andrew Lovett, who is our HR Strategic Director and former principal at Benteen. So I know he also has a very, very, very invested interest in the new principal selection and process at Maynard Jackson High. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Mighty and Dr. Lovett.
Good evening, everyone. We are super excited about the journey that we're getting ready to take on and looking for your next principal of Maynard Jackson High School. We just want to provide you with some information. As being a part of the Go team, we want to ensure that you receive this information first, know how you are work a part of the process, and answer any questions that you have. So as you can see, I think that just went away. So we were sharing as far as the flyer is concerned in regards to the search for the principal. And so as we get a little closer to the start, we start first with Go Team. So starting right now, we meet with you to let you know what the process is. And then we are going to work with community for the fall semester, and then dive more so into actually the process in the spring. So starting next month, a flyer will go out to all stakeholders. Flyers, it will go out directly to you as a Go team. It'll go out to all the staff and all community members in order to provide the characteristics that you are looking for in your next principal. So it'll start by asking you what are things that are going well at Maynard Jackson and what are some areas that you would love to see some growth in. The survey is open for about 2 weeks. And then after that in October, we will meet with you in person in November. The in-person meeting will be for us to finalize the leadership profile. So what we do is we take all of that information you've provided on the survey and we meet in person and we do an activity so that we can get a consensus of what the characteristics are that you're looking for in a leader. Notice for that, the first people we meet with are students because of course this is their school and we want to ensure that their voices are heard. So on the middle and high school level, we always involve students in the process. So we will meet with them. We will speak to them in more of a student-friendly way in order to get feedback on what they are looking for. Then we'll meet with staff and then parents in the community session. So when this flyer is sent out, that date will be solidified. So you'll know exactly what that date is in November so we can all plan for it. We do this first so that we can know what are the lens we need to look for when hiring for a principal. So of course we have the APS standard of what we're looking for as a principal, and everyone that's applying must meet those minimum requirements. But Maynard Jackson has its own special needs and concerns that they want to highlight and ensure that is involved. And so we ensure that we create the leadership profile first, and every candidate that we look at through that lens. And that is the lens of what the community and the stakeholders want to see in their next leader. So we will have that community meeting. That profile will be finalized. It'll be sent out to you as a Go team in December. It'll also be sent out to all stakeholders. So it'll be sent out to teachers, staff, parents, and the community. It'll be placed on the website as well. And then in January for the spring semester, we'll start that nationwide recruitment. And again, when we are recruiting through the lens of the leadership profile. So what it is that you want in a leader is how we will look for the next leader. And then February, we will go ahead and have interviews. So there'll be a stakeholder interview, which you will be a part of as part of the Go team. You'll be part of that process. And then during that process, you will share your top 3 that you'll recommend to the superintendent. And then they will meet with the superintendent. The superintendent is the person that chooses the actual leader for the school. Based on reviewing your recommendation, you'll provide strengths and areas of concern. And then from there in March, that recommendation will be made to the board. So that is the full process. The survey is not open as of yet because, again, this will start in October. We just wanted to come to you first as a Go team so that you are aware of the process, how you are a part of the process, and answer any questions that you may have. So overall, that is just a snapshot of how we will facilitate that for you. Any questions before Audrey?
I have a couple. I have 2 actually. Hi, this is Suzanne Mitchell. I'm the vice chair of the Go team. Hi, Ms. Sofianis. Good to see
Hi.
you, Dr. Lovett. So will we be able to see the profile avatar, whatever you want to call it, prior to it being made public? Will the Go team have an opportunity to see what you all have settled on prior to it being made public?
So if I hear you correctly, I think what you're asking is once we create the finalized leadership profile, will the Go team see it before it goes public? Or are you asking, will the Go team see what the survey looks like before it goes public?
The actual final profile. Can we
So
lay eyes on it before, once you all are done, can we then lay eyes on it before it goes public?
So it actually happens simultaneously when it's provided. In a way, yes, you're able to see it because as you attend the sessions, how we do the activity is we're creating a consensus. So basically when the activity occurs, you will be able to see all the feedback that has been provided, and the activity creates a consensus. So you will be able to see what that consensus looks like. Like what we do at the end of the, before we leave the meeting, is we go ahead and review and go around and kind of review what we see that's happening as a consensus. And you can already see like those are the things that are going to be a part of the leadership profile. So in a sense, you will already know what they are. Everyone will, to be honest. However, once it is finalized, it is shared to the Go team, but it's also shared to the school to post like simultaneously. So you don't receive it like prior to. It's all provided about the same time.
I have 2 more questions. In terms of the student session and the staff session, and since we will be interviewing, are we allowed to attend those as well as to observe and listen to feedback? Or do you all view that data as you all are just going to collect the data and then, compile it?
So that's a great question. So for the student session, we do not allow any adults in the student sessions except for HR and the cluster superintendent. We want to create an environment where they feel very free and safe to say what they want. So no one is invited as far as any adults. However, when we go to the staff session and the parent session, the very first thing we show them, are the results from the student session. So everything that they do, you'll be able to see everything they've written. They write everything themselves. They do the activity themselves. So the very first thing we do is go over what they created and what they developed. And then no adults are able to make any adjustments to it. So the staff cannot make any adjustments, the parents cannot make any adjustments. And what they develop will go on the leadership profile directly to ensure that their voice are heard and that it's not manipulated by any adult. For the staff session, we will have, by the time you go to the community, the parent community session, you will be able to see everything that the staff has done and what the staff has said. So you will be able to have that snapshot and be able to see it before you go ahead and add to it. So with that being said, you are able to see all three.
Great. And then my last question is, when you said we will interview candidates, so I'm going to assume that HR will be going through the 10,000 applications we're going to receive, because this is the best school in Georgia.
Absolutely.
And so you all will kind of narrow it down on average, because I know y'all have done this before. How many people on average get to us versus the 3 that we're recommending? How many people will we interview on average? I'm not going to hold you to it because I know that can change.
Yes. So on average, you will interview 6 people. That is the average number that you interview. So actually how the process works is from the HR lens, we just look at all of the minimum requirements to make sure that they are met from the HR lens. And then what happens is it goes over to Audrey and she'll explain a little bit more. And her team, using the lens of the principal profile, will go through and look at some of the things. Like, for example, one of the characteristics is types and years of experience, right? So if in the finalized leadership profile, you have in there that you want somebody that has high school experience, wanted to someone that had high school experience as a teacher, as an instructional coach, and a principal, right? As Audrey is looking through it, then that would be something she would look at. If you had something that was like, you wanted to have somebody who had principal experience and they needed to be a principal at least 10 years before they came to Maynard Jackson, and that is what was a part of the finalized profile, then as Audrey is looking through those resumes and looking through those things, then she's looking through that lens. So definitely HR does the first going through to determine, do you make it to Audrey and her team? And then Audrey is going through and doing that same thing based on the principal profile. And then from there, we get down to, on average, about 6 people, which you would interview. The entire Go team, including your student members, would be a part of as far as on interview day. So that would be a full interview day. Typically starts about 8:30 and then ends at 4. It is a full interview day.
And then last question, I promise.
No, it's okay.
Let's say there are no candidates that we recommend, or let's say we recommend candidates and the superintendent doesn't recommend. Have you seen those scenarios?
Yes. So we have had the scenarios. Both of those scenarios have occurred before. And what we do is we just go back to the drawing board. So, if there is, if you feel that, what you have seen, that you guys aren't happy, what happens is that feedback is actually provided to the superintendent directly from Audrey, as well as from myself to my chief of HR. And then we come together with with all the minds and determine on what the next step would be for the school in the meantime. But typically when something like that happens, we do end up going back through the process to ensure we have the right fit for the school.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions?
So interviews are so we'll need to be present for a solid day of interviews sometime in February.
Yes, and you will receive plenty of notice. Typically, you receive about 3-week notice of when that day is.
For the student session, every student in the school is part of that? So every student at the whole school has a voice in that student session?
No. So how students can have a voice overall is through the survey, because all students can take the survey as well. But we do take a sampling of the school population for the student session. So we look at all grades, all demographics, all socioeconomic, all subgroups. So we do a cross-sectional of those students. We work very closely with the school to determine who those students are in order to participate in that process. And each school is different, if I'm being very honest. We have done schools that have a student session of approximately 50 students, and we've had some schools who've had, 30 students. It just depends on the population of the school, and then ensuring that we have a true cross-sectional to make sure that every subgroup has a voice.
Are all students invited to participate?
No, all students are not invited to participate because, again, we are looking to ensure that there's a cross-sectional and that every group is, is recognized and is able to have a voice. So, again, what we do is we work very closely with the school and the admin team to ensure that that does happen. Every student is able to have a voice through the survey because they are able to complete the survey, and we do, we do recommend that. And at a high school, we do typically get high percentage of student participation with the survey that helps to provide the profile. But as far as the activity that we do in person, it is not every student.
Okay.
There, Dr. Duncan and Dr. Lisa are trying to get in through the Zoom.
Let me ask you another question. Is this survey to go out to the broader community?
Do you want me to send it to you?
Yes,
Or- Okay, go ahead.
this survey is for all stakeholders for Maynard Jackson High School. So all students, staff, parents, community members, it's open for everyone to provide their feedback in regards to the characteristics they're looking for Maynard Jackson High School.
So we need to send it down to our feeder schools, or will you all send it out to the feeder schools? How should we expect to amplify it? What do you all need, if anything?
So you can amplify it any way that you wish. Typically what we do is we send it to the Go team. And so sometimes Go teams also send it to their business partners as well. And then we send it to the school, which sends it out to parents and community members. It is also placed on the website, so anyone can go to the website in order to take the survey. But if you do have constituents that you want to share it with, you are more than welcome to share it with those people.
Does it normally go out to the feeder schools? I mean, is that or no?
Typically, it does not go to the feeder school. It only goes to the high school. It only goes to the school that they're hiring for the principal. But again, it is placed on the website. So there are times that feeder school, parents of feeder schools will complete it, especially like if they have children that are in 8th grade that are getting ready to transition to high school, that we have seen some parents will, provide feedback because they know that their child will be attending the next year. But we do not intentionally send it to feeder schools.
Got it.
Any other questions before I turn it over to Audrey? All right. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate giving us this time. We're super excited about the opportunity and going through this process with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I really look forward to working with Dr. Levitt and Dr. Mighty on this. And I am so excited to work with the students. The 3 principal openings we had this past year were elementary. So students are not a part of the process at elementary. So I am thrilled at that part. I assure you, we are going to get many, many applicants. I already know this because I know the quality of this school. I know the reputation of this school. I know it is a very sought after school. And I attribute that all to you all sitting at that table and what you contributed over the years to build it, build it, build it. So I know we're going to get a lot of applicants, and I want to assure you the processes like what HR does to screen out folks that don't meet the APS minimal requirement. And that's when my team jumps in, and I am a very huge part of that. I will look at just about every resume. Now, I may get hundreds, so it's going to be a continuous process, but I am looking for I want to make this as challenging for you all as possible. That is my goal, to bring 6 candidates to you that you are just like, wow, how do we even begin to recommend to Dr. Johnson 3 people? That is my goal. So I assure you, I will be spending a lot of time looking at the resumes, digging about people, looking at the entire application. We have a great application system. We have a great system of folks before me that, take the funnel of it and start to bring it down a bit. But I know I will still have a lot of quality people to look at. And I'm really going to use that leadership profile, which is what I did in these other 3 schools. And we picked 3 fantastic people for each of the 3 schools that we just filled. So I'm very excited about this process for you all. And we'll be in touch. We're all contacts for you. We'll be sharing, information to you. So you'll have our emails if you don't already. If you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to any of us. We are all your contact folks in this. So.
Awesome. Okay. Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'd love to know what February date it will be, but. Yeah. Okay. Okay, all right. So for our next steps, we can now move back to our discussion items for today.
Okay, so first on our agenda to discuss today is the strategic plan. So this is the strategic plan that was developed by the GO team for the 2021 through 2025. Hold on, I'm just making sure that.
Can we make it full screen?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I am trying.
View options, right
View
there.
options. So it's different on my screen. I think I'll have to get up and do it here. Okay.
Can you do it at the top?
Yeah, there's also at the very top right there, view.
Does that work? It's 2
No,
minutes.
try that one.
Okay.
Sort of like gallery.
Yeah, gallery.
Full screen.
I'm gonna go back and make it a bit smaller though. Okay.
Yeah, that's better.
Is this a little bit better?
Yeah, can you, yeah.
Hide.
And
Yeah,
then
you can just move it, yeah, you can just hold and move it.
but there's a way to hide it.
You gotta go to the little
Yeah,
left.
the little-
There you go. There you go.
Okay. All right. Okay, so our SMART goals were progression from scoring developing to increase proficient and distinguished scores on the Georgia Milestones exam, increasing the number of students earning 3 or higher on AP exams and 4 or higher on IB exams, maintain and improve a graduation rate of greater than 80% in 2022 and beyond. So of course that was previously, and we've since surpassed that. And increase the number of students in each signature program of IB, AP, and dual enrollment to equitably reflect the students in all subgroup areas. So those were our main focus areas. Those have been, rather, our main focus areas and our strategic priorities and initiatives to foster academic excellence for all, building a culture of student support, equipping and empowering leaders and staff, and creating a system of school support. Some of the strategies that we have been trying to implement to achieve those goals is like a real focus on our PLCs to ensure that we're providing students with daily instruction that meets the needs of not just certain subgroups, but all of our subgroups. And really utilizing that data to make informed decisions about how we'll move us in terms of our instruction and fully implementing our IB NYP framework to better prepare our students to enter our IB, CP, and DP programs. Providing remediation and enrichment based on student data to focus on the learning gaps and any impacts related to the pandemic. I'm not sure if you guys saw the national data that came out last week in terms of how students have been faring in reading and math across the pandemic. Really isn't that big of an impact, but we know that there is some impact that's there and still trickling upwards too from different grade levels in elementary and beyond. And ensuring that our faculty has a robust professional learning program that provides different tiers of teachers with the supports that's needed to improve their pedagogy and improve their use of research-based instructional strategies. And then lastly, ensuring that our budget allocation, and we'll look a little bit at that because we didn't get to look at that the last time, ensuring that the school has the resources and flexibility that they need to do all of this great work. Is everybody good with me? So this should have just been a review. Okay, so these were also our identified strategic plan priorities ranked from higher to lower. This is what the GO team decided to rank. The first one was creating an educational and professional environment that promotes high quality teaching in which provides well-defined and deliberately designed instruction that's inquiry-based, creative, interdisciplinary, technology-rich, and student-centered. So that was at the top of everything. In the middle is cultivating a counseling and support system that focuses on college and career and empowers students to maximize their opportunities for learning future college studies and or post-secondary options. And then lastly, building a healthy school culture and climate for students, staff, and parents in the school community that amplifies and empowers student voice while incorporating programs such as SEL, PBIS, CAS, student organizations, and of course, or No Place for Hate, which addresses bullying among students. Okay, so this was a lot of information to fit, and I can see that the white font was not the best. So this was really just a slide kind of showing the alignment between what's in the strategic plan and what we had to write in terms of our SIP plan for our school district and the state. So for the first one, which is create an educational and professional environment that promotes high quality teaching, our SIP goal had to be adjusted slightly this year to mirror our district's strategic plan. So I'm not sure if everyone has had an opportunity to view Dr. Johnson's new strategic plan, but he has 3 areas of focus, one that's focused on literacy, one focused on math or numeracy, if you will, and then another one that's focused at the high school for post-secondary options, graduation rates, things of the like. So our SIP this year, our SMART goals are centered around a 5% increase on the newly implemented Literature 2 Georgia milestones. So we no longer will take the milestones in American literature. We'll do it into 10th grade for the new course Lit 2 this year. So our goal is to improve 5%, to establish a baseline that improves 5% from where we did on American Lit this past spring. And that's included in this slide. So you guys will have an opportunity to see how we fared. And then for our math goal is to increase the percentage of students scoring proficient and above by 5% from this previous year's performance. Does anybody have questions so far?
I do. So this isn't the district strategic plan. This is just strategic plan for the schools that the superintendent has put in place.
So this is two things. Hopefully I explained it right. So in the yellow is taken from our Go Team strategic plan.
Right.
In the red is taken from our continuous improvement plan for our school at Jackson. So each school has to write a continuous improvement plan.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of showing the alignment between the two.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so the key indicators that of course we're looking for is an increase in the percentage of students that scoring at the proficiency and distinguished levels. The second part of our Go Team strategic plan, or one of the goals, was to cultivate counseling and support system which focuses on college and career, and empower students to maximize their opportunities for learning, future college studies, and post-secondary options. How that relates to our current SIP is ensuring that our high school graduation rate, we've increased that to 91% or higher. So you see that in the strategic plan, we wrote it for above 80%. So we're at the point now where we're trying to increase it to above 91% and then maintain that. And of course, with doing that, that's also going to cause us to want to reduce the total number of students who are coded as dropouts. So what are the key indicators there? Maintaining and improving that grad rate that's greater than 90%, and increasing the number of our students that are earning qualifying scores on both the AP exams and the IB exams. And we could really even go further there and add something about how students are actually performing in their dual enrollment classes. So that's one of the things that I've asked, is just kind of like a better tracker of, yes, we're getting students in dual enrollment, but what does that look like in terms of the growth over time? And then lastly, building a healthy school culture and climate for students, staff, parents, and a school environment that amplifies and empowers student voice. So how this correlates to our SMART goal in our SIP plan is, if our students feel safe and empowered in their learning environment, they're going to come to school. So our attendance, we're trying to increase our average daily attendance for our students from 87.1 to 89.7% by May 2026 of next year. And what we're hoping that we'll see as key indicators is, of course, some improvement in our attendance data, but also some improvement in our behavior data as far as our suspensions and student infractions are concerned as well. Are we good with the alignment piece? Okay. Okay, so now let's talk some data. So one of the things that, I'm sorry about my small font. So I hate the look of screenshots from APS graphs, but I do also want you to know that it came from a real place. And so that's why we have the screenshots. One of the things about map data for high schools, though, we don't have that direct correlation to how they're predicting us to perform on milestones. And so all we have is quintile data. Once we work with our instructional coaches, there are some things and some different calculations that we can do to try to do our own predictors in-house. So that may be something that we'll share, I think in October when we do our CCRPI, like data dive, or whenever that comes, we'll have some predictor information there. But for right now, this just shows how students did in each of the quintiles, growth quintiles, and you can see the different percentiles that correlate to the colors for both math at the top and then reading at the bottom.
So this is math data from the beginning of last year compared to the beginning of this year?
Yes, this is for the students that just sat for MAP this year.
Did MAP, didn't they just have norms come out? Did they just have a new release of normative information?
Not 100% sure, but I can double check. The last time I knew of them, so when we started MAP, that would have been fall of 2021. And they did have a norm study and a linking study to link like how MAP compares to our state test in Georgia.
Yes.
Now, whether or not they've updated that, that's something that I may be out of the loop on, but I can definitely find out to make sure and kind of have a different and better conversation.
Okay. Is that 532 kids?
Yes, so let's talk about why. So this year, our district only required 9th and 10th grade students to sit MAP. Initially, when we first started, we were asked to test all of our students. I think what they kind of saw was,
Too much testing.
number one, too much testing.
And
You
the
guys,
older
some of
kids,
you
yeah,
either
are
have
over it.
They
seniors
were checked
now
out. Yeah, they were checked.
or have seniors. And so that data that we would get back from our senior students and sometimes even our junior students just wasn't really the most reliable data.
I think that a lot of the discourse as a student has also been MAP tests don't matter to anything important. Colleges don't look at them. It doesn't go into grades. So I think that while they are a good indicator from start to top or from top to bottom, I think that we as a group should take MAP results with a grain of salt because there's people who are not applying themselves to the max because they feel there's no repercussions.
Okay, so reliability of those results.
Yeah.
Is there anything you as a student could recommend to make them take it a little bit more seriously?
Yeah, like we need to really let the students know that like
It is serious.
really is serious. It may not matter for the individual student, but it matters for the school.
It matters for the school, and it actually does matter for
It does matter for placements.
individual students. So you can get really great information about yourself. Your teachers get really great information from the MAP. One of the things that the MAP does that I love is it is a good indicator to say this student is going to score in this range for the ACT or the SAT. These are the areas that they need to focus on now to hit those marks.
I was about to say something about that as well. I think that if we encourage students to take this more seriously, when they get ready to take the SAT and the ACT, they'll know like when they get on Khan Academy, what they should focus on specifically. So they're not worrying about the wrong things and spending time on the things that they already know and they can perfect what they need to work on. So if we talk about that, I think that would encourage students to get better test scores.
Okay.
As a student, I mean, I've never heard that where would I find the information that would tell me what I need to work on?
Very telling. So that means that somebody has not been giving you back your MAP score report.
Well, I remember getting the sheet.
Okay.
I remember that. And I remember seeing like the growth percentile and what percentile I was in for each in my score.
Okay. So that's good feedback because what that says to me is students probably need some assistance with how do I read this report?
How do I
What-
use the report?
How do I use this report?
Yes.
What does this mean to me other than it just being, here we go, so got you. Very great feedback.
So I think that a lot of people, I have a older sister who is going through the SAT and ACT process and has been for a while. And I personally think that a lot of people are scared of the SAT and ACT and want to start getting on top of it now so they can get there. And as somebody who also wants to do that, I think that it would be incredibly beneficial and have people take the MAP testing more seriously if they know that MAP testing is a tell for what an ACT or SAT might look like in areas to work on and like an estimate of what you can do.
Okay.
So I would be curious to know, I'm not one of the teachers that administers the MAP, but I'd be curious to know, is the teacher aware of that rich information that was just shared insofar as what it can be a predictor of so that they can make sure now, seriously, I go over this data with my students? And I'm just wondering, are they aware of?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So with every administration, our teachers get an overview of what the MAP is, how to read score reports, and the different conferencing tools that they can use. And most teachers do the individual student conferences, some better than others. So that is something that we could work on across the board as far as making sure it's a consistent practice.
Which teachers would be doing that? Would it be
Math and reading,
Math
math
and
and English, sorry.
Okay, yeah, so whatever they're saying math. Yeah, no, they're
They
not.
weren't.
They're not.
So other people who as well could help to facilitate those
Yeah,
conversations
advisory.
because
Counselors.
our college counselors who are meeting oftentimes with juniors and seniors around those standardized testing, or counselors as well have their grade level meetings, like they all pushed into the biology classes for ninth graders. That may be an introductory kind of conversation that they have with those grade level meetings that we may not be having. That just may be an opportunity to try to put that out there so students will be more aware of the impact of the MAP testing on other aspects of their career or college pursuits.
Well, and since we're not doing 11th and 12th, I totally get 12, but since we're not doing 11, you know, do you believe that the 10th grade MAP scores in spring, I guess, because are we still taking MAP in spring?
That's still, I think the district is still trying to determine what groups will need to test in spring.
Yeah, because if we're not taking it in spring, then I'm not sure, unless you're continuing to evaluate it, how valuable it applies to SAT and ACT.
Yeah.
So whatever the reason why you're doing it, I think just needs to be communicated to the students. If it's to understand where you are today so that we can help you for the future, then have that conversation. If it's, you know, we're gonna take your spring scores and this is gonna help be an indicator for next year when you're taking your pre-ACT and your pre-SATs, PSATs,
Yeah.
then, you know, I just think it just is gonna depend on what ultimately is decided.
Yes.
And then what the district is saying
Yeah.
that it's used for, because if as you start going back.
Yeah.
So, okay. We're on the same page.
We are. Okay, are we good? Okay, so now milestones data. Okay, so let me give a disclaimer about data. So I know that we have to have a different data talk coming in October once we get our full CCRPI report. So hopefully I've included enough pieces of data. I could talk about data until 10 p.m., but I know you don't want to be here until 10 p.m. So we're starting off with some information for each content area, and then we're going to take a deeper dive into how some of our subgroup focus areas have done in our milestones trending. So as far as algebra is concerned, the first screenshot at the top shows how we fare against other schools in our district. So you can see that we are trending a little bit below North Atlanta High School. We have the same percentage of distinguished students, and we fell a little bit below them in terms of the proficiency is concerned, and I'm assuming where we lost points for proficiency was in that 2% that you see in beginning that we have over them. Questions about comparison with other schools? So we realized, last year, when we did our hand calculation of how we did from 2024 to 2025, we were at the exact same CCRPI number because of how we lost a couple points or 1 or 2 points for beginning, but we were able to increase the number of students that were scoring at distinguished for this year by about 2%. And so the CCRPI point breakdown was the exact same. So that's something that we'll talk about in the slides coming up.
And that's just ninth graders, correct?
That is just ninth graders for algebra, concepts, and connection. So last year was our very last administration of the old ELA standards and the American literature. So the top screenshot is how we compare to other schools in the district. And again, we're right under North Atlanta, performing right under North Atlanta again, with 32% of our students in beginning, 32% in developing, and 27% proficient, 9% in distinguished. So students that took this test were either in AP language or in American literature. There was something
And what
else.
grade?
So that is primarily 11th grade, but it can also be 10th graders, because sometimes our 10th graders do take AP Lang. We did have a few students that took this test for IB English Year 1 as well. So so this year, the test is being moved down to the 10th grade. So it's no longer on the backs of the 11th grade students. And so when we test this year, we will not have an apples to apples comparison, but we'll still kind of use this data as to say, this is the threshold that we don't want to fall underneath when we do our test this year. It's also good to note here too, that we will get our data much later as they try to figure out the norms for the states, and that's going to be ELA across the board, kind of like how it was with math, not this past year, but the year before, when we did new math standards. So at the bottom is the comparison of how we performed from 2024 to 2025. So there were some increases in developing, but there were some decreases in students performing at proficient for us.
It's a lot more in 2024.
Yes. And a lot more students tested in 2024 than they did in 2025. Okay. Okay, now biology has been one of our more successful milestone subjects. So again, we're neck and neck with North Atlanta. We actually surpassed them in the percentage of students scoring at the distinguished level for biology, but they kind of took a little bit from us in the beginning, and then we scored a bit under them in the proficient. As far as the comparison is concerned, you can see the improvement that was made in both reducing that percentage of students scoring at beginning and increasing the percentage of students scoring at the distinguished level.
That's 9th grade.
And this is 9th grade. We may have had like a 1-off or a 2-off that did AP biology for core credits. It might have been 2 students, but that is primarily a 9th grade test.
It's interesting how much more proficient in almost every school the milestones
Yes.
test is. I wonder, I mean, it's not just the testament to the teaching, the test.
Tell me ask your question one more time.
It's just interesting that there's so much more proficiency in biology
Yes.
compared to reading and math. And
Yes.
I'm just wondering why that might be. Is it the test? Is it the way the standards are?
So I think it could be a number of reasons. I think it could be everybody takes biology, but there are some students who come in that are taking biology that are already in geometry, if that makes sense. It also could mean different standards. Well, not different standards, but the way the test is written could be different. I know that there are some different types of questions on the math and the ELA. The ELA, though, too, in the kids' defense, is a very long, grueling test that takes 2 days. That, you know, it's a lot of reading. It takes a lot of testing stamina to get through that ELA test. So I think it could be a number of different factors. And we also have a really great biology team here at Jackson too, and a great science department. So I think it's a mixture of things that we probably need to dig a little bit deeper to see how we can steal from their success.
When reading and math are so focused on, that's why I was where we
Well,
do the best.
Yes.
You know, like that's so interesting.
Well, to just piggyback on it, we do know literacy, you know, the kids who are coming in to Jackson, a lot of times are not on grade level.
Right. But even just for every school,
So,
that's what I'm saying,
there
right?
is-
It's like
there's a
every
lot of
school is like
catch-up.
that, right?
Yeah.
As a student, I want to say that biology was easier for me a little bit. Like the way that I learned stuff with biology, you could like find a way to understand it for yourself and then take notes rather than
Yes.
like the English and the math test. Those like I feel like they were just really harder, but biology is easier to study and the information is easier to remember, especially because in 8th grade classes we took kind of already introduced to it.
And math still remains that enigma that I am committed to healing.
You've been peeling that onion. And you'll keep it, it's gonna get peeled.
Okay, I don't want you to get nervous about US history, so let's talk about US history for a little while. So US history is our unique milestone situation. So for CCRPI, US history includes students that take AP US history and IB US history year 1, but they don't test. So CCRPI calculates their grades, their final grade in that course, and calculates it in with how our students that actually tested for the US history milestones, and then we'll get our final score. Does that
What year are they taking this?
This is also 11th grade. This is also the 11th grade year.
So some kids were in Murray's AP, so they're not in this
No.
because they took the AP exam.
So they took the AP exam, and how their final grade in that class will count towards our CCRPI, but you will not see
So these are
reflected
just
here.
kids who are not in AP or IB, our core student body,
Yes.
which I think is important to.
So very important to note, and the charge this year is to improve the performance of these students and focus on this as the baseline data for improvement.
That's right.
The IB and AP kids are going to do what they're going to do, but really making sure and honing in that our babies in these classes get what they need to be successful on this test. I do want to point out that the data, so we are falling not in a great space, below.
Yeah, no, I would just say, I'm less worried about where we rank in the district versus last year to this year.
Yeah,
That's the
so
important
that's
thing.
the point I wanted to point out, but I didn't want to.
I can't see the difference between the number of students for 2025. Is that the same number?
No, it's 198 and 188.
Okay. It looks like the same.
So
Well, we've seen growth.
And one of the things that I do want to point out about 2024 to 2025 is that there was some significant growth.
Absolutely.
Like there was literally a decrease in the beginning that went directly to the proficiency rates. So the big ask for this year is focusing on what were those best practices that worked and tweaking them for the students that we have this year to see some continued growth in that area of US history. But like I said, once the CCRPI is released, there will be like much more detailed, you'll understand all of the things, the numbers, the ins and outs of everything for CCRPI. So now I wanted to take some time to look at some trends in our 2 focus areas for our school, our continuous improvement plan. In addition to us doing a SMART goal and writing different action steps, we also have to take our subgroups that have been trending on the lower level and we have to tease out an action plan for those subgroups as well. So this is why that's the area of focus. So for every area, and if my numbers are small, I could go ahead and read those. The first column shows American Lit from 2022 to 2025 for the Black student subgroup. And you'll see that there was a decline from 24.3% in 2024 to 18.8% in 2025. For algebra, there was a slight increase in the Black student subgroup, and please feel free to come up closer. I'm so sorry, guys.
No, it's not you.
There was an increase in the performance of the Black student subgroup, and this is, by the way, is proficient and above. I did not do developing and above because our strategic plan as well as our continuous improvement plan focuses on proficiency.
Okay, so this is the percentage of kids that are proficient or above in the
Yes.
GMAT. Okay,
Yes.
okay,
I like that.
okay,
Okay.
that's much better.
So For algebra, there was a slight increase from 21.9% in 2024 to 24.7% in 2025. In biology, you'll also see an increase from 26.1% in 2024 to 29.7% in 2025. And then, just like we just talked about in US history, there was a big jump. So for that particular subgroup, from 9.6% to 15.8% on the US history milestones. Everybody good here?
Yeah. I know in American literature, because I think that's, once again, literacy, that's all going back to that. I know that test is tough. I'm assuming you all are thinking about strategies. I know there was some teacher movement last year, at that 9th grade level, specifically getting some of the strong teachers back at the 9th grade level, because it starts there.
Yes, it does.
Have you all kind of thought any further around that at this point, or is that something that you're continuing to, I know you're just getting in all these numbers and dissecting them.
No, so yes, that is something that we've thought further about. So every team had to identify a hole in their area of focus that is maybe outside of the milestones that they want to strengthen, that may impact or have some kind of effect on other grade levels or subject areas within that department. And 9th grade was the chosen area of focus. So some of the things that we are currently working on is reworking our PLCs and strengthening our PLCs. Or professional learning communities. And this is where our teachers mainly collaborate and plan lessons. And doing some work at the planning table to see how that impacts what happens in the classroom with the students, and ultimately the data as well. I think there's some more detail about that in one of the later slides too. Okay, so our students with disabilities subgroup is one of our areas of focus. And I don't know, I guess I can be super transparent. Yes.
Has the percentage of the student body is identified as students with disabilities?
What percentage of our students? I have to do it. So I know the number is maybe 387, but I have to do the math on my thing. Out of more.
It's usually about 20% on average for schools.
It's the high 300s, and it also kind of matches the number of gifted students that we have. We really have the most unique.
24.5.
Yeah.
And
We
is
really
that
do
504 and
25%.
IEPs
for
your subgroup? Is that
no, it's
504?
just for IEPs. So we really do have the most unique student population ever in history of life. Just being serious. No, seriously. I mean, okay. So our students with disabilities subgroup is one of our areas of concerns for several different reasons. Of course, it's an area we want our students to do well in, but it's also the area where King Middle School was identified for the ATSI list, not last year.
This is their third year.
This is their exit year. So 3 years ago.
Explain what ATSI is.
So, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So it is one of the state identified lists. So the state uses different criteria to identify schools that will be under their state monitored list. So ATSI stands for Targeted School. I can't remember what the A stands for, but it basically is if you have a subgroup that performs below a certain threshold for a period of time, you get put on the ATSI list. So for us, when we learned that, of course, our babies from King come straight to us. So it's all eyes on SWDs to make sure that we're doing the things to improve the performance. So this is data that makes my stomach hurt, but we'll talk about it. So in American Lit, there was very slight increase from 9.4 to 9.6. You could pretty much say that the data was stagnant there. In algebra, there was a decrease from 14.3% to 12.2% the previous year. In biology, there was a jump from 19% to 22.2%. And then, like we've been saying, US history really did their thing. So you see that increase from 6.5% to 11.6% on the US history over a year. So some of the glows. So there is increase in performance in all the subgroups in biology. And of course, these are not all of our glows. These are just some things top of mind. There was a decrease in percentage of students scoring beginning in US history, increase in students scoring proficient and above from previous year in US history, but there was also an increase in students scoring proficient and above in the Black subgroup for algebra. And then some of our grows. So algebra right now seems to be kind of at a standstill, so kind of figuring out what's going to be those push-through strategies to break the mold and to get some bigger bang for our buck. A grow for me will always be seeing students perform 30% below proficiency. So I know it's a statewide thing. It's one of our district strategic goals at the lower grade levels is to break past the 30%, but that's just still something as a true educator you don't want to see. So that for me is of course a grow area, and especially in our focus subgroups as well. So
can you say that again? So you want to see a proficiency level below 30%?
Above. Or
You don't want anybody below.
we don't want anybody
anybody below 30%.
Okay.
But our focus area subgroups that we just looked at are trending well below that.
Okay. In the past, there had been a pretty deep, many years ago, strategic partnership with King in professional development alignment. Is that something that is still happening, particularly in that algebra space? Is there any, because I mean, that's the bottom line. If we're testing in 9th grade, there's probably some indicators in 8th grade about what's going on with kids from any of the feeder schools.
Yeah.
Whether that's ANCS, Wesley, or King. And there used to be that vertical alignment, professional development alignment.
So
pre-COVID.
I think you are talking about our cluster days that we would have for vertical alignment. Now we've since done something more along the lines of MYP and getting some alignment there, but you are right. We have not had content area focused vertical alignment in quite some time. And that is something that's always going to be helpful if teachers can see the rear view and the teachers from the Midland elementary schools can see ahead. That's always going to be something that's helpful. So that is one of those things that's kind of harder to plan just because of the timing
And there's some things that are done at the district meetings. Like we're gonna have district meetings in October. And so they do meet with their each other. They meet in content areas, middle and high meet together. But I have a question about that. Wasn't it just until last year or the year before that algebra at King was only online? Are you aware of that? It was only online.
I know that's the case for ANCS.
So it was the case for ANCS, and it used to be the case for King where they did not have an in-person algebra teacher and the students did sit the test online. But both schools are now with an in-person teacher.
That is
ANCS too?
Really?
Well, I don't know about ANCS.
I think
They take grade level math and all.
Yeah, they're all.
I think for sure at King.
If they want to, you don't have to.
Yeah,
You want
they
to come
do
into
the ABA.
high school at the algebra 1 geometry level. We do 8th grade math during the school year as well as an online 8th grade math level year. Now at King, at King right now, 8th graders that have tested into this 8th grade math class, they are currently in algebra 1 that incorporates 8th grade math in it. And That's the second year that we're doing
It's the
that.
second year, and I will tell you that last year, those kids banged it out on that
Yeah,
test.
their teachers. I love
Yeah.
their teacher.
Like, they did a great job on that algebra test, because we do receive the scores for how they do. On the
But they're
algebra
not
test.
going in, are they still taking, if they're doing geometry, if they're doing algebra 2 and geometry in 9th grade,
Mhm.
they're still taking the algebra monster.
No, they take it at the 8th grade,
But the scores count.
but we get the credit for it.
Okay, so then, okay. So I still think there's some dissection
Yes.
of the kids who aren't taking algebra in the 8th grade and identifying.
Still the alignment piece is needed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I know King has a new class this year that is, it's like a accelerated math, but it's also for kids that might not have placed into this Algebra 1 class. They're now in this.
That's good.
Is it a half and half where it's like accelerated 8th grade with a mix of algebra?
Yeah, it's kind of like they're kind of, they weren't placed in this Algebra 1, but they're in a more accelerated math class. So there's a big chunk of them in that class as well.
That's
So,
good to hear.
Yeah.
Good to hear. And then some growth is just also finding that sweet spot of what are the instructional strategies that are meeting the needs of all of our students. So really focusing on that tier 1 instruction implementation, really focusing on what are the targeted strategies that are needed for our breakout groups that we talked about earlier, and implementing those to get our students to where they need to be. Okay. I was supposed to say, what do you notice? Sorry.
That's okay.
We've been noticing this whole time.
We've been noticing.
We've been noticing.
Listen, many of us, we've been asking questions.
Okay.
That's fine.
There's been a lot of noticing.
Yeah, there's been a lot of noticing and wonderings,
Okay.
and,
So what I will promise is the next time I present the data, which I think is CCRPI, which really I may bring you a copy because I will talk about data forever. I'll make sure that maybe I should have put the protocol first,
it's okay.
then after.
I promise you, it's okay.
Yes.
I will say,
We've all felt comfortable.
I would just make a recommendation.
Yes,
That we put the grade level
yes, for
So
the
that-
test.
for the test.
Okay,
That's it. This was great. And I would flip. I think what the Go team should be focused on
okay,
is last year to this year
okay.
and less on, I mean, we need to see where we are in the district and the state,
I got you.
but we
Just
care about our
trending-
babies.
Trending for
In
us.
here.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got you. That's great feedback.
This is Kimberly. Can I make a recommendation as well?
Yes.
Two things I would do too, if we could, the percentage of the breakdown of the groups of the subgroups, if you could include that in the future as well. And then the strategies, I guess, for whatever strategies that you are suggesting or recommendations that you're suggesting to help us in our grows and glows, as well as what improvements we need to make.
Okay.
When you say the percentage, Kimberly, are you talking about the
Of the
percentage?
student population. So if the Black subgroup is, 50%, or if of the student population as a whole. So what is their number, their number in percentage wise?
Okay. Yes.
When we say strategies, Dr. Leeks, are we talking about instructional strategies?
Whatever strategies, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Maybe kind of like how it's written in the school improvement plan or the continuous improvement plan as this is what the goal is, this is what the data was, these are the action steps and how we plan to get there.
Okay.
It's probably
Yes.
what you may be looking for there.
And what you're doing,
Huh?
like literally
What's happening.
how you all are thinking about it as a leadership team
Yes.
and a faculty team.
Exactly.
So I might have missed this because I was over. But what's the reason that we just look at the Black and the SWD?
because in our continuous improvement plan, we have to identify 2 of our subgroup areas that are trending lower than others.
So those are the lower 2?
Yes.
And then will you just define an SWD from a testing perspective? Is everybody in the group, so a child on the ventilator all the way through a child who just has an IEP? What children are testing?
Okay, that's a really great question. So we have 2 different groups of students with disabilities. We have our students with IEPs, and then we also have our students in our regional units. Believe it or not, the students in our regional units also take a state test called the Georgia Alternative Assessment. Whatever is considered their junior year, and those scores also count towards our CCRPI in each content area. But in terms of our Georgia milestones, only the students with IEP that are not in our regional units are our students that are counted in that particular data. But all students are required to test, believe it or not.
So we'll see those in CCRPI broken down.
We will, and this past year, we had 5 students that took the GAA. And they have to take it in all 4 content areas. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is the principal reports. So the first one was to talk through enrollment and kind of provide some leveling updates because that was not done at the August meeting. So our projected enrollment was 1589. Our 15-day count, we were at 1594, but our today's count is 1625.
Are we gonna get the money for 1625?
So, no, we will get the money for the 1594 because that's when the projected enrollment count was dated.
That is a problem.
Pardon?
What's the capacity number at school?
1,500.
I think it's
1,500.
Oh, it's below, isn't it?
No, I
13?
think it was 14.
Yeah, I just took the screenshots
It's
on
not high. It's not where we are.
So we're at 1625.
And I'll double check that number, but I know it's higher than the 1594 that we were at.
Building capacity is 1475.
I thought it was 14.
Okay, so we had a difference of 5 students, positive direction. And so I think the allotment for each pupil is like 5,000 and change, maybe like 5,800 and something. So that gave us an adjustment of $29,810.
So we're not getting, so that is not the full, 5,000 a student is not our full.
31 students.
Our full funding.
No, so let me backtrack. So this is the addition that we get. So what happens is after our 15-day count, our district sees, did you meet your enrollment and can you get that money back from reserves? So for our case, we get our reserves back in addition to this $29,810, which puts us at 301 and some change. So that is what we got back for our leveraging reserve. So the reason why this slide says this is because I was required to put the slide that was discussed in the February Go Team meeting about what it would look like if you were to get the leveling reserve, how the money would be utilized, things of the like. So that's what this slide is. So I probably should have updated.
Remind me again what our number was going into the year. It was 15. What did they budget us at? Not 1594. If 5 people,
589. It was the 1589.
Yeah, I made them increase. You remember I made them increase it
Yeah.
last year.
So that was where we were projected, but we actually surpassed that.
So we had 30 kids enrolled in this last week, or the last.
It's been since that 8/20/22, so.
In the month. of
So
September.
maybe that
36.
month, so I would say
36.
maybe like 3 weeks to 4 weeks. And I'll double check before we leave, but I think 1625 is the number, but I do have another number swirling in my mind, so I could do a double check before we leave. Okay, so the GO team in February agreed, to the following priorities and strategies and the amounts. One of the things was already taken care of. We did not have an allotment for 2 instructional paraprofessionals. We already had the number of instructional paraprofessionals that we needed. We did some restructuring of how we use our non-instructional paraprofessionals in terms of where we place them in the building. And so the need to hire 1 additional non-instructional paraprofessional is not like there at the moment, because we have I think we took somebody from outside, moved them inside, and so we have them strategically placed throughout the building because we didn't know if we were gonna get that money back. So this is what was decided on for the GO team from February. So this is what was discussed
From last February.
Of how the money would be used, and what some of the requests were. So the only request that was not or done or taken care of would be that non-instructional paraprofessional, just because with how we restructured the team, we didn't really see the need.
So you have enough, because those non-instruction paras were doing hall monitoring, building monitoring, so you feel like, how many do you have now?
So we have a total of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I think we have this, because we had eliminated 1 last year.
Yes.
Or 2, 1 or 2.
It's more,
I
it
don't
was
think
1.
Okay, but did we get that person back?
So we didn't get that person back. I think we may have gone from like 8 to 7.
And you feel like you have enough?
I feel like I have enough. And so what we are going to do with that 56,000 is increase some opportunities for teacher professional development, like bringing in, so one of the focus areas for us in order to improve our data is to improve our tier 1 instructional strategies and to improve our classroom instruction and what it looks like in the PLCs in the classroom. So using maybe some contracted services to do some professional development around direct instruction, which is one of our district's big push for us this year. And also, what are some different strategies that are going to increase our improvement for our students with disabilities? So divvying the money up to do for professional development and also increasing the funding for the Jaguar Learning Lab teacher tutors, and also doing some restructuring of what that program looks like to ensure that we're not only getting better buy-in from our students, because that is something that we've struggled with the past few years, is student attendance at Jaguar Learning Lab, but really honing in on that as one of our programs that kind of drives that intervention for the students that need it.
Is Jaguar Learning Lab ever tied into restorative justice as part of a restorative justice plan for a child who is on the edge?
No, we have not thought about it. I think we mostly use Saturday school for that, but
Okay, just
that might be a thing.
something to think about. And then does this include this? So this is just from last year. This isn't the 29,000, or the 29,000 is in that 50?
Yes.
Okay. Last year there was some discussion about incentives for teachers for attendance.
Yeah, for teachers.
Is that anywhere in here?
When
When we had an overage last year, he brought it forward to say, this is how we're gonna spend it.
Okay.
And then there was kind of a discussion. And I thought, so you're not seeing that anywhere?
I don't see incentives for teachers in this, but I can certainly go back and
Do you
look.
remember that from last year?
I remember it.
Why? Because I remember asking. I'm sorry, ask that question.
Do you remember last year when we had our balance, we had extra money after leveling, and Dr. Dancer was saying, let's use some of it for teacher attendance. Do you remember that, Ms. Galloway? As incentives to help kind of grow
Yes.
that.
Yes. The
The
learning lab and the.
Yeah, but the teacher attendance was something. If that's not a strategy you think that you need to look at, then that's fine, but it was, I thought, in our, part of our leveling reserve. Maybe he took it out?
Suzanne,
Yes.
Maybe
Kimberly.
not.
yes, you're right. I remember that conversation, but I don't I don't know if he brought it forward. That was the other thing.
I think perhaps he was, like, it was at the end of the year, and it was, if I recall correctly, he was discussing where we had a big chunk.
Yeah, that was in February.
Yeah, okay, we had a big chunk that we may or may not get once the leveling happened. And I think it was an ideas about what might come. I don't know that it was actually listed in the budget.
I don't think so either. I think there's just something that he would have liked to have done.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
ideas. Yeah.
I could also, do I have, this is
Let me
me
just say this,
asking.
you're at the helm. If that is not a strategy
Oh, wait, no.
that you want to see move forward, that is fine too. I just want to make sure we didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to go back and do anything with it. I'm just saying, I remember that being out there, and I would love to see how much, how much did you put in Learning Lab? How much did you put in professional development?
Okay.
Like how you're breaking those
How
funds out.
is it broken down?
And then also specifically for Learning Lab, what are your, if the numbers are to increase participation, what's our baseline and what's our goal?
Okay.
So that we can just kind of, not as a gotcha, but what are the strategies around, because I do think that's a really critically important opportunity.
Okay.
And I do think even for kids who are doing okay
Mhm.
and well, as an opportunity too. I'm not sure the full strategy of the Learning Lab, but there were days where I would have preferred not to pay for a tutor and sent my child somewhere. So I
Okay.
did, but you know what I'm saying.
Yes, I
How do we
totally
expand
understand. Or is our reserve district representative on the call still?
I don't think we ever had one.
Oh, I saw something APS Go Teams.
I guess it's me.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
Hello?
this is Chandra. Yep, hold on one second. I'm here.
Okay. Do I have flexibility to present this information again with the requested information for the next meeting? Under the principal's report, or will I have to move to the next thing? Yes.
No, you can present whatever you need to.
Okay, perfect,
Yeah,
thank you.
mhm. Now, I do remember, I don't know if anything that you are going to request as far as the funding, will impact staffing, as it relates to the deadlines that HR has for you guys.
The next slide.
I don't know if you've already had like your staffing conference for your leveling.
Right, and so I talk about that on the next slide, about staffing.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, so yes, the short answer is you can, provide whatever information you need to. You're not limited to only sharing that during this meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, so the next funding source that was discussed in February was the Title I holdback. Now, for the Title I holdback, this is, of course, federal funds, so we do not actually see this money until December of this year. But this is where the GO team wanted to, this was the priority that was identified, the strategies, and what the different requests and the amounts were for each area.
Is that in alignment with what you're seeing? And if it's something different, then let us know.
Okay.
I mean, I do, you know.
Yes, so the only thing that will likely change, because our district has gone in a different direction with Chromebooks, is the purchasing of the Chromebooks for the Georgia milestones. That may shift slightly to purchasing some other materials like math books that may be needed for some of our more specialized programs like IB film and some of those classes. But we haven't done anything with that yet because it's kind of money that we don't have.
And you'll just update that
Absolutely.
if we change.
Absolutely. Okay, so any personnel, we didn't have any personnel or non-personnel changes as a result of our leveling. So sometimes depending on how many students we don't get, there may be situations where staff members may have to leave us and go to other schools, but we had none of those impacts to our staffing.
Is there the option with this increase in kids of getting an additional personnel?
So not at the moment. So there are no staffing projections that happen before, I want to say they usually start staffing projections late December, early January. So the next item.
Can I just ask one more
Yes.
thing? Will you continue to please, if you're seeing more than 10 kids a month,
Okay.
give us a running tally, because this is going to be important in our budget conversations around what we're seeing in terms of enrollment increases.
Okay.
Because I do want us to be very aggressive in the number that we're going to be using for what is our day one number for next year, because that impacts our overall budget.
Okay.
Because they like to Kavi likes to
What is the average? Like, what is the not too high, not too low enrollment a month?
Say that one more time.
Like students enrolling a month, how many do you like to see? Like
None.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
they're coming
me
here.
okay.
For me, I want all the students to come. Now,
Well, I just mean,
now
like,
where
what's
am I going to
considered-
put
what's
them?
Normal.
I don't really know what normal would be. I guess normal would be.
It depends on the school.
Yeah, it depends really on the school. It just depends on like situations that are happening, because there are schools where the kids didn't come and they are like severely under enrolled. So there really is not like a sweet spot of
And it also depends on the time of year. Like last year near the
testing.
time, we had a big
Influx.
influx of students
And we
who
did.
came from somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, we have the Drew
And
kids.
let's not,
Yeah,
and
the Drew
last year,
kids.
January,
The Drew
maybe,
kids.
I'm gonna be honest, I think the past 2 Januaries, we've had an influx of students coming from Drew. So it really is not like,
Behind sports.
I wouldn't,
But we don't get paid for we don't get the money for those students after that 15-day
Because
count.
of that.
So how many do we want?
Right. I wonder what the facilities plan projections are.
To
compared to-
2032, it's about 2,100 kids.
But I wonder if they went back to like, if we could use those projections for next year, if they are over, I don't know if we were
Well,
offhand.
so last year, our projection was lower than the number of kids that were actually in the building the day we were doing the budget.
Yeah.
And that's what we were screaming about, because that is our number going in. And then with that number, we were having to get rid of one of our IB coordinators.
Yeah.
So it was a little wacky. And we had to I want to try to avoid all that drama this year. And so if we're getting the ongoing numbers, then I think that will help. And then I'll continue to have conversations at the district level. just to say,
Yeah, just to question that formula.
don't be dumb.
Like,
Yeah.
how's that
How are they
done?
coming up with that?
Okay.
Okay, sorry, comprehensive long-range facilities plan. So unfortunately, I was not able to make it to Midtown to kind of hear the preview
I
of
was there.
the scenarios because that was the same night as our back to school academic night. And then I had another meeting immediately following that. So upcoming public meetings are October 20th and November 10th, and there will be two options: a virtual at noon and then in person at 6 p.m. at the CLL.
And I don't know if you all saw on your email, there was a scheduled GO team meeting for the facilities master plan for just all of the GO teams that they canceled. And so I'll follow back up with Travis to see when that's going to be rescheduled. The task force meetings, I think we got one in early October.
October 9th.
That's the new one?
Yeah, the next one is October 9th, at least.
So we will definitely bring that up to make sure the GO teams get a full breakdown. But I think they were super tired because they had to add a bunch.
And you both are on the task force, right? I was, we had a meeting last night at King, and it was, seemed like, from what we were told, that the middle school and high school plans are really on the back burner. That the elementary schools are really being the focus right now, but when it's your plan, and there really isn't money for the middle and high schools to make these games.
No. The money that comes from middle and high school comes from SPLOST. And
Which
so,
that's the question.
SPLOST has to be renewed. They have to put together a project list. My understanding is that will go on the 2026 ballot. And so in the meantime, they've done, and I still didn't send it out, so my apologies, I will, the feasibility study that gave examples of what expansions at King and Jackson would look like. But I think that's that's years down the road. So I think at least in our cluster, there are discussions about, there are going to be larger discussions around boundary lines.
Yes, it sounds like
and at the elementary, and we'll figure out if it continues to explode and they haven't expanded here, we're going to end up with trailers. That's just what will ultimately happen.
So quick question, are these APS forward task force and public meetings, are those both for the comprehensive long-range facilities plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I also have some updates from the APS GO team in the chat. So they did add 2 additional meeting dates for the community meetings on September the 24th and September the 25th. Both are on Zoom, but do we have a time for those Zoom meetings?
Can't ask if to go.
Yeah, the 24th is at 6 p.m. and on the 25th it's at 12 noon. And so you can register for those at the link that I added in the chat.
Okay, and then you said that the GO team office is working with the facilities team to identify the rescheduled date for the GO team facilities conversation.
That's right. I heard you guys mention that. So yeah, that is something that we're working with them to get a new date. They had to reschedule for the 11th. So that's why there was that change. But as soon as they get us a new date, we will get it out to GO team members.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for those updates.
And please make sure that happens.
Yes, we are. We stressed the request and the need. So we're pushing.
Keep pushing.
Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so those Zoom meetings are also about facilities plan. That's community. Is that a community meeting? Those 2 meetings you put in the chat?
Yes.
Okay. And that's September 24th at 6 p.m. and what's the next
September 25th at 6 p.m. and both are virtual on Zoom.
Both are at 6 p.m.
The 25th is at 12 p.m.
Oh, 12 p.m. Sorry, on Zoom.
Thank you.
Okay, and then doesn't work. Sorry. Can't
You
see.
gotta click out of your chat.
Okay, sorry. So next Saturday will be a very busy day for, we have the Go Team Summit, but that's also the day Maynard Jackson defeats Midtown at our
Yes.
at our varsity
Yes.
football game.
Yes.
So I plan to be at the G3 Summit, and then I may have to step out just a little bit early to make it over to Henderson Stadium. And that is all of the information that I have.
And I do think, I think it might be great if we, on our agenda, and there shouldn't be any issues, if we move our public comment up to the top of the agenda.
Okay.
Versus being at the bottom. So after, before we get into discussion items, we generally make that 4.
So moving the announcements,
No, public comment.
public comment, okay.
Up to the, back up to the top. Up to the, yeah.
Should it be before the approval of the agenda or after?
After.
After and before discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we've done it.
All right. Those are all the updates that I have for this month.
Okay, great. Okay, so I guess from there we can move on to any announcements. Does anybody have any announcements? Okay. And then public comments. Do we have any option, or do we have any public comments that we need to go over today?
Is there anybody on Zoom?
Does anyone say anything on the chat?
No, I don't have anyone on the chat.
Okay. All right, well then we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business at this time? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? A second?
A second.
All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. All opposed, raise your hand. Any abstentions? No? Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And our next one is